Welcome to part 3 of the Experience Cloud Consultant Exam Preparation Series, focused on passing the exam and building real-world Experience Cloud skills. Let's get into it. In part 2, we covered the fundamentals, from the core concepts to templates and themes, then to branding, personalization, and content. So that sets the foundation of Experience Cloud. Now, in part 3, we are getting into the part that really matters. So this is the biggest section of the exam with 25%, and this will be covering administration, setup, and configuration, where we'll be setting up partner channels, and we'll be going over how to deploy, migrate, and activate Experience Cloud sites, how to implement dedicated external user administration, how to build public experiences for guest users. We'll also be looking into how we can configure topics and also exploring Service Cloud capabilities inside Experience Cloud. We'll also cover adoption and analytics, so you can check performance, understand user behavior, and continuously improve your site. And we'll be using dashboards, insights. Also, we'll be looking into how we can use moderation features and also some of the best practices for driving adoption and engagement. With this, let's get started. In the administration setup and configuration section, we'll be covering 7 topics. We'll start with covering steps for implementing channel sales for partner relationship management, PRM. This will be followed by exploring capabilities of different Experience Cloud deployments and migrations. And we'll also be covering how to enable and activate an Experience Cloud site. After this, we'll be going over how we can implement delegated external user administration, also covering how to build a public experience for guest users. We're also covering topics and also how to apply ticketing and Service Cloud capabilities for Experience Cloud. All right, let's take a look into topic number 1, applying steps for implementing channel sales, partner relationship management. We'll be going over overview first, followed by the key partner relationship management features in Experience Cloud. And again, I'll be providing resources. All right, let's take a look into the overview. So when would you use partner relationship management? If your organization is managing resellers, distributors, or channel partners, partner relationship management in Salesforce makes this process a lot easier and scalable. So before we understand partner relationship management in Experience Cloud, let's understand what channel sales is. So channel sales refers to selling a product or service through partners, such as resellers, distributors, instead of selling directly to customers yourself. So some of the common challenges around channel sales. You can have partners fighting over the same deal, no visibility into partner pipelines. You have leads that's been left in the dark for too long, and you have zero consistency in partners and how partners are enabled and supported. So partner relationship management in Experience Cloud can solve all of these challenges. So partner relationship management, PRM. So this refers to processes and systems that recruit partners, onboard partners, enable partners with content and training, distribute leads, manage deal registration, check your performance over time. So in Salesforce partner relationship management, it's delivered through Experience Cloud Portal. And this portal can be built using the Partner Central template to manage your partner network. All right, next, let's take a look at some of the key partner relationship management features in Experience Cloud. We'll start with an overview, and this will be followed by how we can implement lead distribution, deal registration, market development fund, MDF, channel programs and levels, campaign marketplace, intelligent sales enablement, help center, and marketing cloud form. All right, so what's the underlying technology behind partner relationship management on a high level? So behind it, you have Sales Cloud, Experience Cloud, and Partner Central template. So Sales Cloud is where your internal sales team works. Experience Cloud is where your partners log in, and Partner Central is a dedicated partner relationship management experience. What this allows your partners to do is they'll be able to receive and accept leads, register deals, access marketing assets and training, submit market development fund requests, and also collaborate with your internal sales team securely. So how do you set up these PRM features? You need to navigate to all sites in setup, and go to workspaces, guided setup, and setup features. So this is the screen that you'll see. And on the screen, this is the home page. You'll be able to see all the key features that we've just gone over. And when you click on setup features, this is the screen that you will see on the left. These are all the features for the partner relationship management. And this contains all the guided steps. And this is what we'll be covering shortly. On the bottom right corner here, there is a tile on App Exchange solution for partner relationship management. So if any of these features do not meet the requirements, you can go into the App Exchange solutions. I'll include the link in the description below. So in here, the Sales Cloud PRM in App Exchange, you have capabilities on partner onboarding, enablement, channel sales, and more partner management apps. All right, let's start with the first feature, lead distribution. So it allows you to automatically assign leads to your channel partners. So these leads might come from various sources. It can come from your website, can be from your campaigns, or it can even be manually created by your internal team. So once these leads have been distributed, partners can see these leads directly in their partner central portal. They'll be able to accept or decline them, and you can maintain visibility into the response time and outcomes. Why is this important? This allows for faster lead follow-up, clear ownership as you know which partner is responsible for which lead, and as a result of this, there's better partner accountability. In terms of what we need to do to set this up, you'll need to first set up the security and visibility. You need to create a lead process and have the lead status created, a queue for the lead, a record type. You'll need an assignment role to define criteria and automatically route your leads into the lead inbox, customize the page layouts, and then finalize the site experience. What I'll encourage you to do, and it's very important, is I'll encourage you to go to the setup features tab and actually go through all the setups for all of these key features. This will help you a lot, especially when it comes to the exam. All right, next, let's talk about deal registration. So this is one of the most valuable partner relationship management features. It allows your partners to register their deals early, protect their investment, and avoid channel conflict. From your side, as the business, you gain pipeline visibility, you know what deals might be coming in. And because you have this visibility, you reduce duplicate selling. So you can focus on your efforts a lot better. And you can also incentivize partners to bring deals to you first. In terms of setup steps, again, set up your security record access. You need to create a process for deal registration, create page layouts for deal registration, create leads and opportunity record types, global actions to allow your partners to register deals easily on the Experience Cloud site, customize your opportunities for deal registration, have some sort of approval workflows for deal registration, and again, finalize the site experience. Next feature that we are covering is the Market Development Fund, MDF. So this allows you as a company to financially support partner marketing activities. So for example, if your partners is thinking about doing events, advertisements, or campaigns, you can use this market development fund to support them. So Salesforce has the capability for you to set budgets, allocate these funds, allow partners to submit these requests, and allow partners to submit claims after their campaign execution or after an event or advertisement run. So this ties the partner investment directly to measurable outcomes because you have all of this in Salesforce, all the data available, you'll be able to measure your investment against the outcomes, the revenues or the pipelines that your partners are bringing in. In terms of the setup steps, you'll start with your budget, set up fund allocation, fund request, fund claim, and as always, test your setup. Next, we have channel programs and levels. So this allows you to structure your partner ecosystem. So for example, you can have silver, gold, platinum partners. You can have region programs or industry specific programs. With each of the programs, you can define them in such a way that they can detect what leads the partners can receive, what content they can access depending on the level or the programs that they are in, what market development fund they are qualified for, or how their performance is measured. So you can have scorecards set up to track their revenue, activity, compliance, and engagement. In terms of setting this up, again, you start with your security and record access. You'll need to make the channel program tabs visible so you can manage programs and levels in the same place. You need to add program levels and membership information to the page layouts, share assets with levels or programs. You need to set up scorecard metric report for opportunities, set up scorecards, associate scorecard with programs or levels, and test the setup. All right, moving on, campaign marketplace. So this supports channel marketing and scale. It allows your marketing team to pre-approve campaigns, share templates, and provide brand safe assets. It allows your partners to clone campaigns, execute locally, report results back into Salesforce. So the important thing here is brand consistency and reporting. In terms of setting this up, again, you start with your security and record access. You create channel marketing page layouts, channel marketing record type. You'll need to set up your list views and organize the campaign marketplace. You create a channel marketing app with things like reports, dashboards, campaigns, leads, opportunity objects. You create pre-approved campaigns using the channel marketing record types and the new page layout, and you set up your Experience Cloud sites. All right, next, let's look into intelligent sales enablement. So this feature allows you to create content libraries, add files like pitch decks, data sheets, and price books. You can control who can see what based on their partner role, program, or level, and share content either inside the Partner Central or via secure public links. So this is powered by Salesforce CRM content, and it's not files that someone randomly uploads or from their personal OneDrive, for example. So how does this help resellers? When your resellers log in, they want to be able to quickly find the latest pitch deck, knowing what material is approved, access trainings or playbooks without emailing your team. So in summary, intelligent sales enablement reduces partner confusion. They have a place where they can find important material. It eliminates outdated content. Everything that you put and share with your partners, they'll ideally all be up to date, and also reduces a lot of the overhead for the internal teams, as they wouldn't have to contact or email you about finding where the latest pitch deck is, what material is approved, or how to access training or playbooks. So how to set this up? You need to first set up the Salesforce CRM content, set up libraries, add members to the library, add files and create folders, enable content deliveries and public link. And if there are recommendations that you want to leverage, you can use view Einstein file recommendations. All right, let's take a look at Help Center. So this allows you to make knowledge articles available to external users. So it's an opportunity to give your users a way to find their own solutions without contacting the team. So it allows partners to self-serve instead of having to raise tickets or contacting your team, reducing the overhead. So you'll be providing knowledge articles, FAQs, how-to guides, and support resources in the Help Center. So how to set this up? You need to create topics. You need to map topics to data categories, and these are things that we'll cover in today's video. You need to tell and provide information to your guests on how to get in touch, how to configure. You need to configure your homepage in the builder, configure search, and configure pages that you think are important, configure Help Center in a workspace, and publish it. Last but not least, Marketing Cloud form. So this is where the partner relationship management starts connecting directly to your marketing stack. So the Marketing Cloud form component allows you to create forms inside Experience Cloud microsites. So this is one of the Experience Cloud templates. It automatically generates Marketing Cloud data extensions, store partner submitted data directly in Marketing Cloud. You can use these forms for campaign setups, event registration, partner nominations, or market development fund related submissions. So why is this useful? It's useful when partners are running co-marketing campaigns. They want to have a way of capturing the data structurally, and when your marketing team needs real reporting and segmentation. So instead of sending data to Salesforce object first, you can route the submissions directly to Marketing Cloud. So how to set this up? You need to first confirm that Marketing Cloud Connect is installed in Salesforce. If not, you'll need to install it, configure page layouts, define process automation settings, confirm session settings, connect your account using Marketing Cloud Connect setup wizard. You need to create Marketing Cloud Connect API user, connect to Marketing Cloud from Salesforce, check Marketing Cloud Connect settings. And in Marketing Cloud, you need to check Experience Cloud Marketing Form installation, and then you need to test thoroughly. In terms of resources, there's a Trailhead module that you can do to manage partner relationships with Sales Cloud, partner relationship management, a hub article providing details on how to manage partner relationship with Experience Cloud sites. And also this is the App Exchange link for Sales Cloud solutions for partner relationship management. All right, topic number 2. Describe the capabilities of different Experience Cloud deployments and migrations. We'll start with the overview, and this will be followed by deployment tools, and we'll cover Experience Cloud metadata types and resources. When we build in Salesforce, Salesforce stores those configurations as metadata. And that is the same case with Experience Cloud sites. All the pages within the site, the configurations, Salesforce stores those as metadata. So to move your changes between sandboxes, UAT, and production, you'll need deployment tools. So in this topic, we'll be covering the tools that we can use to deploy Experience Cloud, how Aura and LWR sites are stored differently in terms of the metadata, and best practices when it comes to deployment and migration. All right, let's take a look at deployment tools. We'll start with an overview, then we'll be covering metadata API, Salesforce CLI, Salesforce extensions for VS Code, Code Builder, Change Set, Workbench, Lightning Bolt solutions, and Site.com export and overwrite. So if you are new to deployments, you can think of Experience Cloud deployments or actually any Salesforce deployments like plumbing. So metadata API, these are like the pipes. Salesforce CLI, that's the pump. VS Code or the Code Builder, these are the control panels. So no matter what buttons that you click on the control panel, everything, so all the water will flow through the metadata API, which is the pipes. So just keep this mental picture at the back of your mind when we go through these. This will help you familiarize with the terms if you are not familiar with these. So starting with metadata API, the pipes. So metadata API is a core Salesforce API that can move metadata between orgs. It's essentially the engine behind all Salesforce deployment tools. So it doesn't matter what deployment tools you use, underneath it utilizes metadata API. So for example, going back to the analogy, it doesn't matter what buttons you click, where the water is going, it has to run through the pipes. So what does this allow you to do? It allows you to retrieve metadata from an org, deploy metadata to another org, and create, update, or delete metadata components. Now that you understand the pipes, let's talk about the pump, Salesforce CLI. So CLI stands for the command line interface. It's a developer tool you run in the terminals to interact with Salesforce orgs. You can think of this as the engine that powers deployments. So in the analogy, it's the pump. Without the pump, no water moves through the pipe. So powers deployment, metadata retrieval, authentication, Scratch org management, Apex execution, and more. It's a command line interface, not an API itself. So it's a tool that sends requests to metadata API on your behalf. So for example, if you write a command in Salesforce CLI to deploy, then this command from Salesforce CLI will send the request to metadata API to begin the deployment. Next tool we have is Salesforce extension for VS Code. So Visual Studio Code or VS Code, this is a desktop code editor. So it's not a Salesforce specific tool by itself, but Salesforce does provide extensions for VS Code that essentially turns VS Code into a Salesforce development environment. It provides tools to build, edit, test, retrieve, and deploy Salesforce metadata directly from VS Code. With VS Code, you will need to install Salesforce CLI, what we've talked about here, for the Salesforce extension to work in VS Code. Without Salesforce CLI, you can't deploy, retrieve, or run tests or connect to the org. So going back to the analogy, without the pipe, which is the Salesforce CLI, it doesn't matter what buttons you press on the control panel, no water is going to run. So the control panel in this case is the VS Code. Now coming back to here, so VS Code is basically the user interface for the code editor. Salesforce CLI is the engine. Metadata is the API. That is the plumbing that actually moves metadata between the orgs. So as an example, you click on deploy in VS Code. VS Code will send a command to the Salesforce CLI. Salesforce CLI will package the metadata and calls the metadata API. The metadata API then deploys the metadata into the target Salesforce org. Alright, next we have the code builder. So you can think of the code builder as the online version of VS Code, except that the code builder is a Salesforce hosted development environment on the browser. The good thing about the code builder is it removes the local setup that's required, as everything has been set up or ready to go, as it's a Salesforce hosted tool. Under the hood, it still uses the same metadata API and CLI. Next, we have change states. So it's a declarative deployment tool that allows migrating components between related orgs. One thing to note is that it does not support deployment between orgs that are not related. It still uses metadata API to move metadata between related orgs, but has limitations. It's best suited for simple updates. If you have more complex updates, it's better to use VS Code and Salesforce CLI. It's not suited for full CI/CD pipelines. Limitations: you can't create a site using change states. The site must already exist in the target org. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to create the site in the target org as a deployment step for any deployment for the Experience Cloud site. Navigation, branding, and audiencing, these metadata types are not supported in change state. For this, you'll need to use VS Code and Salesforce CLI. Let's now take a look at Workbench. So this is a browser-based tool commonly used for ad hoc metadata operations, such as deploying or retrieving a zip via metadata API. So you'll be able to download a zip of metadata files from Workbench. So this might be useful for troubleshooting, but it's not recommended for repeatable deployment or version control workflows. Next, we have Lightning Bolt solutions. So we've covered this in part 2 of the Experience Cloud Consultant Prep series under the template and theme section topic 4. So we won't go into details here, but on a high level, this is a package that can include various things. It can include Experience Builder templates, and this can include themes, layouts, CSS, pages, Lightning components. It can contain flow categories. So flow categories are groups of flows for business processes. And it can also include custom Lightning apps. Site.com export and override. So this can be accessed via Site.com Studio via workspaces, administration pages, and click on go to Site.com Studio. And this is what it'll lead you to. So it supports the following: export and override the site. Now that we know about all the metadata tools, let's look at the metadata types that gets moved around the org via these tools. So we'll start by looking at metadata types for LWR sites. We'll then look at the Aura sites and also metadata types that are common for both Aura and LWR sites. So for LWR sites, there are two metadata types. You have Digital Experience Config and Digital Experience Bundle. In the config, this is where it stores information on site level configurations such as name, workspace type, URL prefix. So it's stored in the Digital Experience Configs folder. In the bundle one, it contains text-based representation of the site content and structure, and stored in the digital experiences folder. Alright, let's take a look at metadata types for all our sites. We have experience bundle, site.com, custom site network, audience, and network branding. Let's take a look at the experience bundle first. So experience bundle is the recommended deployment format for all our sites, and this replaces the binary site.com format, which is the second one here, and we'll go over that shortly. So in the metadata files, it represents a text-based code structure of the settings and site components, such as your experience cloud pages, branding sets, themes that make up the site. It's stored in the experiences folder. So within this folder, depending on how many experience cloud sites you have, you'll have these folders for each of your experience cloud sites. And how that works is that each experience cloud site is stored in its own folder when retrieved, and the folder name matches with the site's developer name. And we'll go over an example shortly. Each site definition has resource folders for the following. So you have branding sets, config, routes, themes, variations, and views. In branding sets, it stores branding definitions. Config stores core site configuration metadata. Routes stores page routing information. Themes stores theme layout definition. Variations stores audience specific overrides. Views stores actual page definitions like page layouts. So as an example, if we have a site that's called customer portal with customer underscore portal as developer name, this is what the folder structure will look like. So by default, you'll be on the Force App main default experiences, and this is where this comes in. We talked about each experience cloud site stored in its own folder when retrieved, and this is the folder for this particular experience cloud site called customer portal. And beneath this, we have folders for each resource: branding set, config, routes, themes, variations, and views. A very important consideration: you must enable the experience bundle metadata API to be able to use what we've talked about here. When this is off, the old site.com model has to be used, where the entire site is in a single zip file. And we'll talk about that shortly. And you cannot version control easily, and you won't be able to deploy Experience Cloud site using Salesforce CLI. So to go here, you need to go to Setup, Digital Experiences, Settings, and check the box Enable Experience Bundle Metadata API. I'll write this here actually via Setup, Digital Experiences, Settings, check Enable Experience Bundle Metadata API. Next, we have site.com. So this is a legacy now. This is the binary file of the community layout. So all the pages. So instead of having this well-organized structure, it's in a very messy binary file. So this is the same file produced by the site.com export that we talked about here. So if you go to site.com and click on export this site, you will get a binary file, and this is the site.com metadata file. All right, let's talk about custom site. So this contains the main and page setting information, things like site admin URL index page, and this is stored in the sites folder. Network, so this contains administrative settings, page override, email, membership configurations. It's stored in the networks folder. Audience, so this contains audience definition. It's stored in the audiences folder. Network branding, this contains branding settings, logos, colors, fonts. It's stored in the network branding folder. Now let's take a look at metadata types. They are available for both ORA and LWR sites. We have navigation menu and content assets. So navigation menu, these are it contains the navigation menu structure, menu items and hierarchy stored in the navigation menus folder. Content assets. So this contains the Salesforce content management system assets, and this can include images, PDFs, and media files. Resources, I've included quite a few help articles and also developer guides here. So first one here talks about how to deploy your Experience Cloud site from sandbox to production. Second one is around change sets deployment. Third one is about some of the considerations when it comes to deploying with change sets. Lightning bolt solutions, how to deploy using metadata API, and also details on experience bundles. And I've got a Salesforce developer guide reference here as well, metadata types. So with all the metadata types here, you can go on this website, search it, and this will provide more detailed content as to what each metadata type contains. All right, let's take a look at topic number 3, describe how to enable and activate an experience. We'll start with an overview followed by how to activate and deactivate sites, how to archive and unarchive, and also resources. All right, let's talk about how we can enable digital experiences and also the system permissions that users need. So this is a very important step. Before you can create any Experience Cloud site, you'll need to enable digital experience. So you'll need to go to Setup Digital Experiences, Settings, Enable Digital Experience. So with Experience Cloud sites, if you need to access Experience Workspaces or Experience Management, you'll need one of these system permissions. Either create and set up experiences or access experience management or manage experiences. Note that you also need to be a site member. And we'll talk about what being a site member means over here. If you need to customize administration settings for experience site, you'll need to create and set up experiences. And again, you have to be a site member. If you need to use the experience builder, you'll need the create and set up experiences. And again, you need to be a site member. So these systems permissions can be added either via profiles or permissions, and go to system permissions. You'll be able to find these. And this is a screenshot of what these look like when you go to either profiles or permissions in the system permissions section. So with this permission set, Access Experience Management, it essentially allows you to access pages and dashboards available in Experience Management. The Manage Experience allows you to access Experience Management to view the dashboards, set up reputation, point system, and levels. The Create and Setup Experience. So this is the core permission for Experience Cloud Management. If you have this permission, you'll be able to carry out all of these actions. So this allows you to create experience sites, manage settings, membership, login, and registration branding, and associate site-to-com site. So we talked about how you have to be a site member to carry out these actions. So to be a site member, this is where you go for configuration. So you'll need to go to All Sites, Workspaces, Administration, Members. Site members are either users with the selected profiles or with the permission set. So if your profile is over here, so let's say you are a partner community user, and you've been added to here, then that means you are a site member. Or if you hold view customer insights permission set and this has been added over here, you are a site member as well if you have this permission set. So it's either the profile or the permission set. All right, so this is how you activate a site. So after you've created a site, you need to go to All Site, Workspaces, Administration Settings, and here any newly created sites will start in the preview mode. To activate it, you click on this button. And one thing to note is that when a site is active, new members will receive welcome emails. You can disable this by going to Administration, Emails, deselect the Send welcome email setting. How do you deactivate a site once it's active? Again, you go to Administration Settings, click on Deactivate. Let's now talk about how to archive and unarchive sites. For this, you'll need to go to Digital Experiences app. So the site can be archived or unarchived on the Experience Cloud site details page via the Digital Experiences app. We've covered this in part 2 of the video. So go to Branding, Personalization, Content. Topic 3, implement Salesforce CMS content into an Experience Cloud experience. So if you need to set up access to the Digital Experiences app, this is where you need to go to find out the instructions. So once you have access to the Digital Experiences app, to archive a site, you go to the app, go to All Sites, click on View All. In here, go to the Publish and Draft sites, and you'll be able to select a site that you want to archive. So for example, we want to archive Partner Central Enhanced. Click on that, and you'll see the site currently in the inactive status, and click Archive. One thing to note is that the site must be inactive before it can be archived. If it's active, you must make it inactive, and it is then you can archive it. To unarchive it, you go to the Digital Experiences app, go to All Sites, and View All, and go to the unarchived sites, and click on it, and click on Archive, unarchive. Resources, a couple of help articles. One is around enabling a digital experience. The other is access experience workspaces. All right, topic number 4, given a scenario, recommend and implement delegated external user administration. So we'll start with overview, then we'll cover how to manage all account members, and then we'll talk about how to manage other account members, followed by resources. So what does delegated external user administration do? So this allows external users like partners to manage other external users on their own account. This is useful when it comes to reducing the admin workload for organizations with large partner communities. So imagine if you have 30 different partners for your organization, and the users under these partner communities have issues, they want to reset passwords. You don't want all of these users to go to you. You want to have a dedicated external user and administration functionality within your partner companies to be able to do all of these user administration on their own. So these are some of the common actions that the dedicated external user admin can perform. They can create edit external user records, activate and deactivate external users, generate new passwords for external users. They can manage permission sets for external users. All right, let's talk about how we can set up external users to manage on account members. We'll talk about permission requirements, license requirements, and account management for Delegated External User Administrator. So in terms of permission requirements, you'll need to enable the Dedicated External User Administration app permission in either the external user profile or permission set. The permission set must have the community license attached, otherwise you won't be able to find this Dedicated External User Administrator app permission. So over here, you'll need to go, I've got the profile, the community profile as an example. Go into the app permissions, and here you'll be able to find Dedicated External User Administrator. And this allows you to manage portal users who belong to the same portal account. So this permission can be granted to Dedicated External User Administrators to manage their own account members. And we've talked about how to get there. So it can be via profiles or permission sets, go to app permissions and check Delegated External User Administrator. All right, license requirements. So only certain external licenses support delegated administration. Two of the most common ones are Partner Community and Customer Community Plus. Note that Customer Community License does not support delegated administration. So what does this look like in practice? So as we talked about earlier, users with the Dedicated External User Administrator permission can activate, deactivate, create, and add the members. They can also reset member passwords. Note that internal users and administrators can already do this, but like we talked about earlier, we don't want admins and internal users for your organization to do this. You want to enable these partner users to be able to do it for members that work for your partner organization. So partner users can navigate to Experience Cloud site with Partner Central template. Click on the user icon and click on account management. This is the page that they'll see. In here, there's a members tab with a list of account members for their organization. And to reset a member's password or manage their permission set, you can click on the role drop down and click on reset password or manage permissions. To activate or deactivate the member, you can deselect or select the checkbox in the active column. To add a member to the account, you can click on Add Member. Now that we've talked about how to manage your own account members, let's talk about how to manage other account members. Again, we'll start with the permission requirements, then we'll talk about the setup that's required, and we'll talk about what this looks like in practice. In terms of permission requirements, so in addition to the permission requirements and license requirements that we talked about, and they'll enable you to manage your own account members, you'll need an additional system permission, and this is called the account switch user system permission to be able to access and manage other accounts. So this can be granted to authorize Delegated External User Administrator to manage other account members. And again, this can be done via profiles or permission set. Go to System Permissions, check Account Switch User. And this lets members access the account switcher. So what do you need to set it up in addition to having the right permissions? So you need to add inside your Salesforce org, you'll need to add a related list called External Managed Account on the account page layout. In this example, I'm on account page layout for Burlington Textiles Corp of America. And once you've added this permission, this related list, click on Configure, and this will allow you to nominate an external user to manage another account. When you click on Configure, you'll see this pop-up window showing up here. Just make this a bit smaller. You can give it a name to make it more descriptive, so you don't need to click onto the record every time. It's got a section for manage by, a section for target account, and authorize access. So in the manage by, the account here is the account that the user works for. So in here, you need to select a user where you want this user to manage other accounts. And target account is where you'll be selecting another partner organization that is not your organization. So this user works for Burlington Textile Corp of America, and we're setting up this user so that it can manage other accounts. And this account is Express Logistics and Transport. Here, there will be a list of available access here, and here we've selected Manage Users. Click on Save, and this will create an external manage accounts record over here. And after checking that this user has this permission here, this user will be able to do account switch and manage other accounts. There's another thing in addition to this that we'll need to set up. You will need to go to the Experience Builder, go to Account Management page. So select Account Management here. Note that your Experience Cloud site must have Partner Central template, and click on the related record list, which is this component here under the Members tab. Then you need to update the parent record ID to be current user.effective account ID so that it shows the data of the account that is being switched to. Right. So with all the setup completed, let's take a look at what this looks like in practice. So login is this when this user logs in, this this switch account setting under the users menu will be able to allow the users to switch from their account to the target account. And the target account is what we've specified over here. After clicking switch accounts, this is what you see. Some users can have multiple of these depending on what's been set up inside the Salesforce log. But in this case, it's only been set up to have access to their own account and also other organizations' account, which is Express Logistics and Transport. So after you switch to this account, when you go back to the account management, you'll be able to see members for the account that you have switched to. Resources, 3 help articles here. First one is about delegate site administration to external user. And second one, I think this is the same one. I'll just delete this. Second one here is give external user access to manage other accounts. All right, let's take a look into topic 5, determine the steps to build a public experience. We'll start with an overview, followed by how guest profile works and how record access and sharing can be configured for guest user profile, how we can control public access, and we'll cover additional considerations and resources. So what is a public experience cloud site? A public experience cloud site is designed for guest users or unauthenticated users to access pages without having to log in. So these users are usually not logged in onto your site, and they can access content and records based on what you expose to them. And these are controlled via the guest user profile. Some of the common use cases, business to consumer B2C companies, they often use these public sites to reach a broader audience. Customer support is another common use case where you'll provide public discussions, solutions posted by other members or customer support, known issues and FAQs, frequently asked questions to users. They don't need to log in to view these issues. And again, as mentioned earlier, visibility is controlled through the guest user profile and how you set up the page level access. All right, let's take a look into guest user profile. So when you create a new Experience Cloud site, Salesforce automatically creates a guest user profile. One important thing to note is that each site has one guest user profile, and the profile controls what objects and fields that unauthenticated users or guest users can access. Any records created by guest users, they are assigned to a default owner. So to configure the default owner, you go to Workspaces, Administration, go into Preferences, Record Ownership, and configure your record owner over here. All right, so how do you configure guest user profiles? This is super important for the exam to navigate to the guest profile for your site. You'll need to go to All Sites, Builder, Settings, General, Guest User Profile section. Click on the hyperlink, and this will lead you to the guest user profile for your site. You will not be able to find this profile under Setup. You have to go through the Experience Cloud Builder to be able to get to this profile. For Visualforce template, Salesforce tabs and Visualforce template Experience Cloud site, the process is slightly different. You go to All Sites, Workspaces, Administration, Pages, and to go to force.com, and there's a public access setting. And once you've done that, you'll see this button, and this will allow you to modify the profile for this site. All right, let's talk about guest user record access and sharing. So one thing that's important to note is that guest users can never see records unless you explicitly let them see it. And even if you let them see it, it'll be read-only. So the org-wide defaults for guest users are always private for all the objects, and this cannot be changed. So if you go to Setup, Sharing Settings, Secure Guest User Record Access, you'll find that this is something that cannot be unchecked. So if you want to share records with guest users, you'll need to use criteria sharing rule. One thing that's important to note is that owner-based sharing rule is not available for guest users, so you have to use criteria-based sharing rules. So if we go to sharing settings and pick any object, you'll see that there's an additional option for this guest user access based on criteria rule type. So what this means is that there's an additional option available that to include records owned by high volume users. So high volume users are users with external apps, customer community profile. So by default, sharing rules don't include records owned by these users. And if we want to include records owned by high volume users, we'll need to go to sharing settings, click on new sharing rule, click include records owned by high volume users. You'll note that all of these guest sharing rules, the access level is only read-only. It does not include edit access. And what this means is that the guest users will not be able to edit any records that's not owned or created by the guest user. They can only view, and that's the most that they can get from the security and access perspective. One thing to note is that records can be mainly shared with guest users, so the only way is really through the guest sharing rule. All right, let's talk about how we control public access. So you can control visibility at 3 levels. Level 1 is configure the site-wide access. Level 2 is page level specific access. And level 3 is the component specific access. So to allow the public to access your site, you need to make your Experience Cloud site pages accessible to public. To do that, you need to go to Builder, Settings, General, and check guest users can see and interact with the site without logging in. Now that we've made the site public, let's talk about how we can configure the pages. So to configure access for a particular page, find the page, go into page settings, and page access. There are three options here. You have the site default setting, public, and requires login. So the first setting there, site default setting, this reflects the public access setting that you have under general settings. Public, so this makes the page public regardless of what the site default setting is. So even if your site default setting is private, making a page public will override that. The third option is requires login, so this makes the page private and requires members to log in regardless of the site's default setting. So even if the site default is set to public, if you make a page private, then it will require members to log in to access the page. So there are some pages that they are always public and you can't make it private. So these are usually system pages. So these are, for example, services not available or too many requests page, and also the login related pages like login register, check password, forgot password, and login error. On the other hand, some pages are always set to private. So for example, the report details page, under the page access, there is no option to change this. The login is always required to access this page. Another example is the message page. Again, you need login to be able to see this. All right, so putting this together, how does the Experience Cloud page visibility logic work? So on a high level, when a member is trying to access a page, Salesforce checks a few things. First, it checks whether the site default setting is public or private. If it's private, you'll ask the user to log in. Then Salesforce look at the page access. If you have access to the page, then Salesforce checks whether you have access to the page variation based on the audience. So there are two types of pages that you can create on Experience Cloud site. You have standard pages and object pages. Depending on what you are trying to access, the visibility logic is slightly different. So standard pages are pages that you can add any combination of components. Object pages are your record details page, your list views, and related list pages that's connected to a Salesforce object. So when trying to access standard pages, Salesforce first check for the default site setting. If it's not public, it's going to ask the users to log in. Then it checks for page access. If the page access is set to private or requires login, then users will be redirected to login. You're then going to check the page variations. If there are no page variations, then you'll be able to access the page. If there are page variations, then your access will be based on the page variations and the profile settings. Now let's take a look at object pages. So object pages are pretty much very similar to standard pages in terms of the visibility logic, but there's another layer before Salesforce checks for the default visibility settings. It's going to check users' access on the object. If the user does not have the appropriate access, then they're going to see the error message. If they do have the appropriate crowd access, then Salesforce will check the visibility settings check the page access, check add variations, and you'll be able to access the page based on page variations and profile settings. Right, let's now talk about component-specific access. So even within a public page, you can control visibility on a component level. So these component-specific access settings are not available for all the components. It's only available for some, such as tabs and the navigation menu. For components on a public page, guest user visibility can be enabled by selecting the publicly available checkbox in the component property. So to view component properties and make it public available, you'll go to your component, go to component properties, and then there's the checkbox that you can check to make certain menu items publicly available. For once they are unchecked, these won't be available unless you log in. So the top example here is the navigation menu. The bottom here are the tabs. So in the tabs layout, you can set to make certain tabs publicly available and hide the ones that you don't want users to see without logging in. All right, let's go over these additional considerations. So there are a few optional configurations, but they are really important. So we'll go over activities, SF files, upload files, and access to Cheddar. So access to activities. This controls access to tasks, events, emails, and calendars for guest users. It can be enabled to allow guest users to access activities on objects. Usually these are disabled to ensure tasks, emails, or events that internal users created are not accessed by guest users. The way to grant access to guest users is you need to go to your guest user profile, or you can grant via permission sets. Go to system permissions and then check access activities. Next, we have view asset files. So this configuration allows guest users to view asset files shared within Experience Cloud site on pages that are publicly accessible. So to allow guest users to view these asset files, they'll need to go to Workspaces, Administration, Preferences, and check let guest users view asset files, library files, and CMS content available to the site. Next, upload files. So to allow guest users to upload files, go to Setup, Salesforce Files, General Settings, and check the allow guest users to upload files. Next, we have access to Cheddar. So to allow guest users to access discussion and feed on Experience Cloud, we'll need to enable the setting. So you'll need to go to Workspaces, Administration, Preferences, give guest user access to public Cheddar API requests. This is important because some Experience Cloud pages and components require the underlying Cheddar capabilities to function, such as cases, lead, related list, feed, and reputation. So if your guest users need to access any of these, you will need to give them access to Cheddar. In terms of resources, there are a few help articles that goes over how to share sites with guest users, how to grant access to guest users via the profile, how to control public access, and there's a video around how to open up access on your portals with the guest user profile and how to create guest user sharing rules. I'll include the link in the description below. All right, topic number 6, determine steps to configure and set up topics. We'll begin with an overview talking about what topics are, and we'll go over where users see Experience Cloud topics and knowledge articles and how to use them together, the types of topics that are available in Experience Cloud, setting up Experience Cloud topics, and how to allow members to create topics, and core Salesforce topics. So these are topics that are used inside internal Salesforce, and we'll also cover resources that are available for this topic. So what are topics? Topics are essentially labels that group related content together in Salesforce. And there are two topic systems that exist in Salesforce. You have core Salesforce topics. These are for internal Salesforce users. You have Experience Cloud topics, and these are for external users. The very important thing to know is that these two topics, they do not sync. So for most of these, we'll be focusing on Experience Cloud topics. And in the end, we'll briefly go over the core Salesforce topics, which are used for internal users. But very quickly, internal Salesforce topics, so these are tied to the main platform, the internal platform, and for internal categorization across the Salesforce org, designed for internal users. For Experience Cloud topics, these are specific to Salesforce Experience Cloud. It's used to navigate content on your site, designed for external users, and they do not sync. All right, so where do Experience Cloud users see Experience Cloud topics? So they appear in a few places. They can appear as navigation menus, as navigation topics. So over here, you can see you can add a topics tab, and these are all of the topics that you have set up. User can click onto it and navigate to the topics page. There are also feature topics, and these are usually displayed as large tiles on the homepage. And these topics are important topics that you want the users to be able to access easily. You also have topic pages listing related content with the same topic. So in this screenshot, we're showing all the knowledge articles with fitness as the topic. So under this topic, we have plyometrics, how to find local bike groups, how to start the program. And knowledge article is the most common use case for topics, and it's mainly using topics for better organization. You can also use topics in your search. So you can configure the search in a way that it returns topic results. You can also see topics in chatter posts, and these are done via hashtags. So you can leave a comment on here, hashtag cool, and that will become a topic that you can click onto and see how many posts have tagged this topic. As a quick example, for example, this here, fitness, you can see there are 3 articles with this topic, and there's been 2 posts that's been hashtagged with this fitness topic. So what do topics do? It essentially turns content into a structured website experience. So it helps the users navigate to places with organized content. So topics and knowledge articles. As mentioned briefly earlier, knowledge article is the most common structure use case for topics, and that's due to a few reasons. There are usually a large volume of articles that's available on your site. You need to make articles easy to find. So by assigning topics to knowledge articles, it creates easier navigation, better search results, and automatic content grouping. And we'll go over how to set these up shortly. So on a high level, how do you assign topics to knowledge articles? Knowledge articles are usually organized using data categories, and we've covered this earlier in part 2 of the video. So if you want to find out more about how you can organize knowledge articles into data categories, I'll recommend you to check part 2 out. Topics are linked to these categories, and you can set up so that articles within certain data categories receive topics automatically. Once this is done, users can then click on topics on your Experience Cloud site and be able to browse articles. So similar to what's been done here, there's been a few topics set up, and if you click on any of these topics, it's going to go to a topics page where it's going to display the knowledge articles that's being assigned with this topic. So an easy way to remember: data categories, these are for backend organization. Topics, these are for user-facing navigation on your Experience Cloud site. Benefits. So by assigning topics to knowledge articles, it makes the articles easier to be discovered by the users. So you can have this topic catalog component. This can be embedded anywhere. It doesn't need to be a topic page. It can be any page. And articles that belong to their topic will appear on the topic catalog. So in here, you can see there's customer support as a topic, and here there are 3 subtopics. There's a topic on social groups, fitness, and new products. So users can browse the content by theme instead of solely relying on searching for a specific article. Navigation topics. So articles show up when users click on navigational topic in the site menu, and this creates more of a structured, intuitive content experience. Feature topics. Articles tied to feature topics can appear, and these are usually on the homepage. It can also be embedded on any of the standard or object pages that you feel it's important to show the users the feature topics. So this is usually great for surfacing high value or frequently accessed content. This also allows topics to be searched and filtered. So topics can be act as a filter in Experience Cloud search interface. Users can narrow results by selecting a topic, and this makes the search more relevant. So if I was to search for the customer as a topic, I'll be able to see all the topics that's related to customer and be able to access knowledge articles that's associated with these topics. Right, so we've talked a lot about these benefits. How do we actually set this up? So to map topics to knowledge articles, there are a few steps that we need to follow. We need to first set up category group and data categories. Then we assign data category to Salesforce knowledge, and we perform topic assignment. So to set up category group and data categories, we've covered this in part 2 of the series on the branding, personalization, and content, topic number 4. But here I'll briefly go through it. So these can be created by going to Setup, Data Category Group Setup, Data Category Setup, sorry. And here you can set up your category groups and also data categories within each of these groups. Once that's set up, you need to assign data categories to Salesforce knowledge. Again, this has been covered in the previous video. So to do that, you go to the knowledge article record, make sure it's in the default status, go into categories and edit and assign data categories to your knowledge article. Once that is done, there are 2 ways to assign topics to knowledge articles. It can be done automatically or manually. To do it automatically, how it works is that you need to map a topic to a category group or data category, and these contain knowledge articles. And how this works is all the articles that are under that category group or data category will automatically get the topics. And to do this, you go to Workspaces, Content Management, Topics, Automatic Topic Assignment. And in here, what you do is you enable this, select a data category group, and if there are specific data categories that you want to specific assign topic for, you can select them, or you can just go with all option. So what I'm doing here is for articles that fall within the physical well-being data category group, I'm assigning everything with the fitness topic. So once you've done that, if there are fine-tuning that you would like to do for specific articles, or there are articles where you don't want to do bulk assignment, you can do them manually. So again, you will go to article management, and in here, you'll be able to review the topics that's being assigned to these articles, and you can either add them or remove them as required. All right, earlier on, we briefly show you what feature topics and navigation topics look like. So we'll go over them in a bit more detail. So feature topics, these are usually displayed on the homepage. They can include images, and it's good for highlighting important content. And it's usually what users see first on the homepage. It can be displayed on the homepage using the featured topics landing component. So it's not only restricted to the homepage, it can be embedded on other pages as well. Navigational topics. So these typically appear in the site navigation menu. So we've got topics over here, and this helps define how the site is structured. They can appear in the site menu. So this is how it appears. And to set this up, you would have go to the page structures, go to the navigation menu. You will add a menu item called topic. And here you can do configurations to make your topics appear. And you can make it public available and have the more topics link on the navigation on your Experience Cloud page. Alternatively, you can also display all the topics that's available using the topic catalog landing component, and this is what it looks like. So an easy way to think about navigational topics is these are essentially website sections. Let's now go over how to actually set topics up. So to set up topics, you'll need to go to Workspaces, Experience Cloud, Experience Content Management, and here you'll be able to see a list of topics under topic management. You can create new topics, merge topics, rename topics by these drop downs here, and you can also delete. We talked about feature topics. So these are topics that can be shown on tiles on the homepage, and images can be added for each feature topics for display on the homepage or the feature topic lighting component. You can have maximum of 25 feature topics per site. Navigational topics. So these topics can be added to the navigation menu. The added topics appear in Experience Cloud site navigation menu. So looking like this, these are the navigational topics. And there are maximum 8 levels that you can configure. 3 levels via UI and 5 levels via API. So in this example here, I've got two levels set up under customer support. This is first level, second level, and what the capability is. You can have 8 levels. You'll be able to set up 3 levels just via the UI. So over here, once you've set up a topic, so for example, plyometrics, if you want to set up additional topics, you can click on the drop down, select the topics you want to add subtopics for, and add it this way. So we talked about hashtags a bit earlier. So to allow members to create topics in comments or posts using hashtags, or adding topics in the topic suggestion field, we'll need to grant them a couple of system permissions. So in here you can see after some text you can hashtag, or you can just add it under the topic section. And after the post you can see the update being appearing as a topic, and also this core topic that's being added manually underneath the topic section. So a couple of things you need. You need the assign topic permission. This will allow you to assign existing topics to feed items or remove topics from feed items. The create topics permission. This allows users to create new topics by assigning them to feed items. Now that we've covered all the use cases and how Experience Cloud topics work, let's go over how topics work internally. So topics can be added to standard or custom object records. It can be used for record tagging, content organization, and chatter. Can be applied for records like accounts or knowledge. And as mentioned earlier, it does not sync with Experience Cloud topics. So what that means is for the same knowledge article, internally, if it's been tagged with these three, externally, it could be tagged with something else, depending on the configuration that's been done on the Experience Cloud site over here. So, for example, this local, for example, this Parametrics 101, it's got fitness tagged. However, inside the platform, the same knowledge article might not have this tag, it might have something else. So how do you manage this? You'll need a couple of things. You'll need topics component added to the Lightning record page, which is this, and you need to grant users permission to be able to add, remove, and view topics. So in here you can see this particular knowledge article. It's been tagged with three topics. And when you click on the fitness topic as an example, you'll be shown this page, and this displays all the internal posts that's tagged with this topic, and also all the related content. In this case, there are 3 knowledge articles and a content record. Resources, there's a help article that goes over how to organize Experience Cloud site with topics. Alright, topic 7, applying ticketing and service cloud capabilities for Experience Cloud. In this section, we'll go over web to case, a very important service cloud capability. So web to case allows customers to submit cases using web forms. They can be used to build a support ticketing system. So to configure web to case, there are a couple of places. You need to go to Setup Web to Case HTML Generator. In here, you can select a bunch of fields that you want to capture details from the users. In here, I've selected contact name, email, phone, subject description. You can capture other things like case reason, priority, etc. In web to case on the setup, this is where you can specify to require reCAPTCHA and define the default case origin and select a default response template. Let's go over 3 important features for web to case. You can set up validation rules so that case do not get recreated if it does not have all the fields that you need. For example, you can set up auto response emails to reply with reference number, and you will have to set up a default response template, and you'll need to go to setup web to case default response template. Assignment rules, so you can assign cases with owners and queues. Some of the important considerations when we are talking about Web2 case: attachment that's not supported does not support rich text, and there is no native spam filtering functions. You can use Google reCAPTCHA, and to do that, you need to go to Web2 case and check require reCAPTCHA verification, and then you go to Web2 case HTML generator. You would you will set up this bit where you need to check include reCAPTCHA in HTML and set up your API key pair. Before we go to references, couple of more points. You can use validation rules or flows to filter cases that appear to be spam if you don't want to use reCAPTCHA. For forms that requires a bit more customization, you can use Visualforce. References, I've included a help article here to cover Web2 case in a bit more detail. In adoption and analytics, we'll be going over 3 topics. Topic 1 will cover how to set up experience dashboard and insights. Topic 2 will explore how to set up experience moderation features. Topic 3 will go over the best practices for adoption and engagement. Alright, topic 1, apply the steps to set up experience dashboards and insights. In this topic, we'll go over the overview, setup options, dashboards and insights, and the considerations for building dashboards and insights, Google Analytics, followed by the recommended resources. Alright, let's take a look at the overview. So, experience dashboards and insights. So how do you access dashboard configuration? You need to go to Workspaces and then Dashboards. In here, there are 3 tabs: Home, Dashboards, and Engagement. The Home tab is where you'll display a single dashboard that's mapped to the Home tab. We'll go over all of these in detail shortly. The Dashboards tab, it's essentially a collection of reports and charts to show experience cloud site analytics and data. So in this case, in the dashboard tab, there's a bunch of dashboards. One of these is called overview. You have members, activity, groups, etc. Engagement, this is another tab. What this contains are insight pages, which are essentially mapped to a report folder that contains reports that help monitor experience cloud site activities. Alright, let's talk about how we set up these reports and dashboards. There are 2 options. You can go with the Manage Package option or Custom Setup. With the Manage Package option, you can go to the Salesforce Community Manage Package via App Exchange. I'll include this link in the description below. In this package, it comes with pre-configured dashboards and reports that you can use straight away in your dashboard configuration for your Experience Cloud workspaces. Alternatively, if there are reports or dashboards that are not available in the managed package, you can set these up yourself. So you can set up custom report types inside Salesforce, set up report and dashboard folders, create reports and dashboards, and what you'll need to do is to map these reports and dashboards to folders to the dashboard and insights in Experience Cloud. And we'll go over this shortly. So what this is talking about is once you've created your reports and dashboards, you'll need to map those folders to here so that it appears on your Experience Cloud dashboard. Alright, dashboards. So you've got a bunch of dashboards, whether that's from the managed package or you've created them yourselves. How do you map these so that it appears in your Experience Cloud dashboard? So you need to do some mapping. To do dashboard mapping, you'll need to go to Workspaces, Dashboards, and you'll need to go to the Dashboards tab. I'll just add this up here. And then Settings, which is over here. In here, you'll be able to see, I'll just zoom in a bit more. Here you'll be able to see a list of dashboards and the folders which you want these to be appear on your dashboard workspace. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to map existing dashboards in the internal org, which can be done over here. You'll need to give it a label, and once it's mapped, it'll appear in the dashboard menu with the specified label. So in this case, you have the Home tab, which will appear on your home page. You have the Overview Site tab, and this is currently mapped to a dashboard called Overview 1.0. Same with members, it's got its respective dashboard mapping. And what will happen is once you have mapped all of this and you saved it, when you click on each of these individual tabs, the dashboard that you have mapped against the label will appear. So in this example, there's an overview label, and the overview label is mapped to this dashboard called Overview 1.0, and that's what appear over here when you go to the Overview tab. The dashboard name and the dashboard with label Overview 1.0 shows up. Carrying on, so I briefly touched on the Home tab. So how this works is that once you have selected dashboard to map to the Home tab, after you've saved it, you'll appear on the Home tab. So in this example, I've mapped Server's Community Scorecard dashboard against the Home label. And when you click on Home, this is what it shows you. It shows you the Server's Community Scorecard dashboard. All right, let's talk about Insights mapping. So you've got a bunch of report folders that you have set up, and you want them to appear under the Engagement tab. How do you do that? You'll need to do Insights mapping, and it's done via Workspace's Dashboards Engagement settings. This is very similar to the dashboard mapping, where you have labels on the left, the folders on the right. In here, whatever you have mapped will appear on the left-hand side. For example, in the member engagement, you have mapped against a member's engagement report folder. Adoption has been mapped against the Insights Adoption 2.0 folder. So once you've done the mapping, click on Save. And in this example, if you click on the Adoption tab on the left, this will go into the Insights Adoption 2.0 folder. And these are all the reports that are available in the folder. At the moment, I've selected the active member report, and this is what the report looks like. It shows you the active member, when the member last logged in, posts, comments, etc. Now, there are some requirements when it comes to reports and putting reports in Experience Cloud. It needs to meet some requirements. If the report is from a custom report type that you have created, this must be enabled via Setup Report Type. The report must have less than 2,000 rows. It must be a tabular report, which is the most basic reporting format. No grouping, no row or column grouping. You can use the network object to report site-specific information. So for example, if you need to report on one of your partner sites, you can use the network object to do so. All right, let's talk about dashboards and insights considerations. We'll start with how to expose dashboards and reports to external users. We'll talk about permission sets and talking about dashboard object pages and report object pages. All right, when it comes to making dashboards and reports available to external users, you'll need to know that only reports and dashboards in public folders in the internal Salesforce org can be added to Experience Cloud. So they must be in public folders for them to be able to access it. It's only available for users with Customer Community Plus license or Partner Community license. Dashboard refresh limit for external users are 1,000 times a day. There are 3 permissions that can be assigned to external users when it comes to accessing reports and dashboards. You have the create and customize reports and report builder. This allows users to create, edit, and delete reports in user's personal folder. The edit my report and report folder builder allows users to create, customize, delete their own reports in a privately shared folder with viewer access. The export reports permission allows users to export data from report. So how do you actually display these reports and dashboards to external users? For dashboards, you need to set up dashboard object pages. To set this up, you need to go to Builder, Pages, New Page, and click on Object Page and select Dashboard as the object. Once that's done, the report details page will contain the dashboard component. And this component can also be added to supporting pages and templates. So it's not limited to just the report details page. You can put this dashboard component on the support pages where you think will be useful to display dashboard to the user. In this dashboard component, you can select the dashboard to display to the user and specify the height as well. The dashboard list page, it's a list view page that contains the dashboard list component. So this can be useful when you want to expose a dashboard list for external users to navigate and be able to view the dashboards that they are looking for and also search for it. This component can be added to other pages that supports it, and also it's also depending on the templates. Only certain templates support the dashboard list component. All right, let's talk about report object pages. So this is very similar to the dashboard object pages that we just talked about, but these report object pages are to display reports to external users. So to create report object pages, you'll need to go to Builder, Pages, New Page, Object Page, and select Report as the object. On the Report Details page, will contain a report summary component, and depends on the record ID, it'll render different reports. How that works is, I'll just skip through here. If you put a report list component here, you allow users to select reports that they want to view. If they click on a particular report, you'll navigate to this page and you'll pass the ID and display the report that's associated with this report name from this record ID. The report details page, this component can also be embedded on supporting pages and templates, just like dashboard components. On the report details page, you can also embed a report chart where you can select particular reports where you want to display to the user on the same page. And again, this can be added to supporting pages and templates. The report list page is the one that we briefly talked about. So this page contains the report list component, shows you a list of reports to your external users. They'll be able to create new reports, search for reports, and navigate to the reports and view them. All right, let's talk about Google Analytics. If you require Google Analytics on your Experience Cloud site for additional information on your users accessing the site, this is where you go to set it up. You need to go to Builder, Settings, Security and Privacy, Content Security, Privacy, Security Level. You'll need to set it to Relaxed, CSP, prevent access to inline scripts, and allow hosts. Once that's done, you need to go to the advanced section and go into Google Analytics, and this is where you set up your Google Analytics details. So after you integrate with Google Analytics, you can install the pre-configured Google Analytics for Salesforce community package, or you can create your own reports on the Google Analytics side. So viewing from Google as opposed to looking at the data inside from within Salesforce. So two options: you can either look at the activities in Salesforce via this community package, or you can go to your Google Analytics account and create your own reports there. All right, in terms of resources, I've included the link to the App Exchange package for dashboards and reports, help article on report charts, dashboard, and also how to configure Google Analytics for Experience Cloud sites. All right, topic 2, analyze and apply experience moderation features. We'll start with an overview followed by moderation methods, moderation rules, checking, and resources. In overview, we'll talk about the purpose of moderation, followed by where to access moderation workspaces, who can moderate, and how to enable external users to flag content. So, purpose of moderation is to keep inappropriate content out from your site, protect sensitive language and topics, reduce spam, bots, and abusive behavior, and generally just trying to keep your community content targeted and appropriate to your external users. So to access moderation workspaces, you need to go to workspaces moderation, and this is what it looks like. It has 3 tabs: home, moderate, and rules, which we'll go into in much more detail later. So who can moderate on Experience Cloud site? Moderators can be both internal or external users with the appropriate system permissions. And these are the system permissions required to moderate. You have moderate Experience Cloud site feeds. It allows you to moderate chatter feeds in Experience Cloud sites. You have moderate Experience Cloud site users. This allows users with this permission to manage Experience Cloud site member access, such as freezing a user. You have moderate files in Experience Cloud sites. It allows users with this permission to moderate Salesforce files in Experience Cloud sites. You also have can approve feed posts and comment. So this allows users to control the visibility of content to other users by updating the status of a feed item or comment from pending review to published, or from published to pending review. So if you want to enable members to flag content, this is what you need to do. They can only flag items if allow members to flag content preferences enabled. To enable this, you'll need to go to Workspaces, Administration, Preferences, and check the Allow Members to Flag Content checkbox. If this is not enabled, only moderators can flag items and view flagged items. All right, moderation methods. We'll go over how manual moderation works and also automated moderation and the approval requirements around the moderation process. So moderators can view and act on flagged content, and this is where they need to go. They need to go to Workspaces, Moderation, and Moderate. So you need to go to the Moderate tab and click down flag messages or flag files. And here they'll be able to see a list of files that's been flagged. And as mentioned earlier, site members can flag posts if allow members to flag content is enabled. So once these content have been flagged, it'll come to the Experience Cloud site where the moderators will be able to review and act on the flagged content. Automated moderation. So you can create Aplex triggers that can flag content automatically. You can also use moderation rules, which we'll go into that shortly. Approval requirements. So we'll go over moderation rules very quickly, but moderation rules can be used to enforce contents that meet certain criteria to be reviewed. And this is where you go for that. So you need to go to workspaces, moderation, moderate pending discussions, and you can either approve or delete these discussions that's being flagged either manually or automatically. They can, instead of approving things here, they can also go into where the discussion is usually in chatter feed and approve or delete from there. So only the author and moderators can see the content while it's pending review. Other users that's not the author or the moderator will not be able to see the content while it's being reviewed. Once the content over here they have been approved, the content will become visible to other members in the community. All right, moderation rules. Very important to know for the exam. So we talked about moderation rules as a way to carry out automated moderation. Anything that's been flagged by the moderation rules will come into these sections here. Pending discussions, flagged files, or flagged messages. So let's take a look at this quickly. So moderation rules are made out of criteria and actions. Moderation rules can scan for specific conditions, which is the criteria, and perform specific actions when those conditions are met. Criteria, it defines the conditions Salesforce checks to decide whether a moderation rule should run, such as specific keywords or user attributes. A moderation rule evaluates these criteria, and if there is a match, Salesforce will perform the actions such as blocking, reviewing, replacing, flag content, or freezing a user. So let's talk about the first half of moderation rules, which is the criteria. So on a high level, criteria determines when a rule applies. And there are two criteria types. You have member criteria and content criteria. So what's member criteria? You can configure member criteria under workspaces, moderation, rules, member criteria. It essentially targets specific users based on the following. You can it can be based on the member type, which can be internal user, customer, or partner users, which is this. It can be user profile, and there's also user creation that you can use to set up your member criteria. So over here, these are three examples. The first one, the first member criteria example is customer and partner net members. So the member criteria will be where the user type matches customer or partner users. Second one here, you have customer member. So that's just looking for matching the user type as custom member. You can easily have a user profile member criteria as well. So for example, I want a member criteria for external identity provider. You would add this to the right here. Here is one where it's about members without contribution. So member criteria matches member who haven't posted or commented. And this is something that you can select under this filter members based on um, members without site contribution. You can also do that on the creation date. So for example, if you want to set up particular moderation rules that only applies on members that's been created X number of days since the user's been created. This is how you set it up. Or if you want to create a particular moderation role that only applies to members without any comment on feeds, this is how you would do it. Right. So we've talked about type number one, which is member criteria. Let's talk about content criteria. So this can be configured under workspaces, moderation rules, content criteria. So content criteria defines the keywords, and you can have up to 2,000 keywords, and it's not case sensitive. Over here, an example is to add a banned keyword list, and you can add keywords that you want this to be flagged by your moderation rules by adding these keywords into your content criteria. All right, next let's look at rule types. So if we go up here, up to moderation rules overview, we've covered the criteria, and we have covered how we can have criteria for members and content. Now let's cover the actions. So actions are these rule types, and these rule types will be able to evaluate whether these criteria match. And if they do match, Salesforce will perform actions that specify in the rule types, such as blocking, reviewing, replacing, flagging content, or freezing the user. So let's now go to role types. So there are two types of roles. You have content roles and rate roles. One thing that's very important for the exam is that you only allowed to have 30 roles per org across all of the Experience Cloud sites. If you go over that, you'll get this message over here. You have reached the maximum number of roles allowed in your organization. You can only have 30 roles. So to configure moderation roles, again, you are in the moderation space and go into the rules tab and navigate to moderation rules. In here, if you click on new, you'll be able to select whether you want to create content rules or rate rules. Let's go over content rules first. So content rules are used to moderate keywords in posts and comments. And pre-configured content rules are available, but they can be modified. So out of the box, when you go into an Experience Cloud site, there will be rules here that's set up already for the content rules, and you can modify them to suit your requirements. So content rules applies to posts and comments. And these are the actions that you can carry out if the rules is triggered. So you can block, review, replace, and flag, and also display messages to members. Criteria, which we have talked about before this, you have member criteria and content criteria. And that is what you will be able to select over here. Once you have created member criteria and content criteria, you can select them um, as um, as the criteria you want to enforce this rule on. So if you select both the member criteria and content criteria, the rule will only apply when both of the criteria are met. So for example, if you want to block a member with customer profile, and they have included bank keywords in their comment, you select this, you would apply that to both post and comment, and moderation will be blocked. And once this is saved, any members that have the customer profile, they have mentioned any bank keywords will be blocked, and they'll be applied to any posts or comments they have made on the Experience Cloud site. And just linking everything together, so once their post or comment has been blocked, it's going to appear in these flagged messages where the moderators can review and decide to either approve or delete them. Now we've covered the content rules, so that's all about what the users have put in posts and comments. Now let's talk about rate rules. So this is used to limit posting frequency, so spamming. And again, there are also pre-configured rate rules that are available out of the box when you come into this page, and these can be modified to suit your requirement. So these again applies to posts, comments, private messages, and files. In terms of the criteria, it applies to members only. It doesn't apply, you don't have the content criteria here because we are talking about rate rules over here. So it's about the rate the members have created posts, comments, private messages, and files. It's less about what they have put in the content. So that is why only member criteria is available over here. So when it comes to rate limits, the content creation time frame, there are two options. It's either 3 minutes or 15 minutes. This is where you can notify the moderators. So you can specify a number where moderators are modified when a member creates content number of times in a specified content creation time frame. So for example, we want to notify moderators if the users have posted 20 comments in 15 minutes. In this case, you'll put 20 as a number over here. Freeze members, that's another rate limits that you can do. So this is basically saying you can specify a number where members are frozen when they create content number of times in specified content creation time frame. So for example, you want a freeze list member if they have posted 100, created 100, created content 100 times, then you'll put 100 over here to freeze the user. All right, so we've talked about a lot about moderation rules. How do you actually keep track of all of these flagging that's going on? So this is where you'll go to the home page, where this moderation overview page will display the moderation tasks in a high level view. You need to go to workspaces, moderation, and home. There are reports that you can use from the Salesforce Community Managed package to view all pending content that needs approval. So you wouldn't have to build your own. You can just use what's already been built from the managed package. In terms of resources, I've included, again, the link to the managed package and help articles on moderation, on how to manage moderators and getting everyone working together, how to do the automated moderation using Apex triggers, clear moderation rules, enable members to flag items, and also how to report on Experience Cloud sites with the App Exchange package. All right, topic number 3, given a scenario, employ fundamental best practices for adoption and engagement. So this is a shorter topic. It's about the processes for adoption and engagement. So it follows 4 basic steps: establish, manage, engage, and measure. In the establish phase, you define your goals and requirements for your site. So you need to know about what you are trying to build on your site, who will be accessing your site, and your goals from the business perspective. You need to know what to build and define the items you want to configure, and you need to release and publish the site that you've built. Once it's been published, you need to start managing it. So, from the management perspective, you need to manage the key stakeholders that's interested on what you've built and released. You monitor activities, carry out moderation, also view the dashboards to pick up any insights that's happening on your site. Now, once you you are sort of across the management part, you need to engage with your users. So you need to think about how you can engage your users and promote engagement. Think about onboarding strategy for your users and also gamification to get everyone more involved on the site. You then have to measure your success so that you can provide feedback to the stakeholders, and you can do that by looking at engagement, adoption, and business value metrics. Resources, I have included a couple of resources here. Help article about managing your site. Another one, how to set up your site in the form of a checklist. And that wraps up part 3 of the Experience Cloud Consultant Exam Preparation series. And in part 4, we'll cover the most challenging exam topics: sharing, visibility, and licensing. User creation and authentication. Will also cover considerations and limitations for Experience Cloud. So these 2 areas are where a lot of people struggle. We'll walk them through in a simple and clear way. Thanks for watching part 3 of the series. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out the last part of the series. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I would love to help you on your certification journey. See you in the next video.